this really skeptical. I turned this business down about 20 times. I guess I'll go back, but like 7 years ago, I used to be a first grade teacher. I left my job as a teacher after 6 years to become a SoulCycle instructor and a personal trainer. So I kind of dove into that business for a couple years and I loved every second of it. I still do, but I started to really reach burnout because we moved to LA and I was driving all over the city for personal training clients and teaching classes. At one point I was teaching 5 classes a week, and I teach SoulCycle. So we actually have to work out. Like, it's like, you're not even just like telling people what to do. You're actually doing the workout yourself. So I was completely exhausted. And I had been approached by this, by probably every single person in this business, like 100 times by so many different people, really creepy messages that really turned me off. So don't ever do those. But just really, the copy and paste kind of thing. And I was so turned off by everything that Beachbody was. But my coach kept coming to my class. She really wasn't even coming to have me be a coach. She was just in my class all the time. She kept randomly bringing it up. I kept turning it down. And then I just remember one day she used to do the same thing over and over again. She used to post her income progression post, and it was the same one, and it was the same exact caption and everything. And I had seen this post literally 7 times from her and didn't even think twice about it. And then I remember I got to like a real serious burnout. I was depressed. Things were horrible. And I was laying in bed, and I remember seeing this same exact post that I had seen a million times, but this time it just hit me in the way that I just had never felt before. And I was just like, I need to be doing this. I need to be traveling. And I saw her doing her thing and traveling and living her best life and all the things. And I was just like, I would love to be doing fitness and helping people, what I love, but not be bound to classes, and I wasn't able to go to my niece's birthday and all the things that just kept me so trapped that I was just looking for more freedom and to be able to travel. So finally said yes. And I didn't even say yes into coaching right away. I was like, let me do a program because I'm an instructor and I don't even take care of myself, kind of let that go. I just was showing up for other people. But I was like, let's just do a 21-day program. And she said to me, okay, if you ever have any plans to be coaching, this is where you have to really start though. There's no contract. You don't have to do coaching, but from day one, you have to show up as if in a month from now, you're going to start coaching and share the entire journey with people. So that's what I did. Every single day, I, showed people what I was eating, and I told people what I was doing. I was a little bit embarrassed by it, but I hadn't announced that I was coaching or anything. It was just I need to focus on myself for a month. I'm going to see how this goes and just feel, see how it goes. I invited 3 of my friends with me. So I did hit SE in my first month by just literally asking a couple friends, as simple as that was. And I just went through the program, 21-day fix. I took people through every single step of the way. They saw me come home at 10 p.m. at night after my clients and still get my workout in. I would complain about it. So those things that people were watching me every single step of the way is what I tell my coaches that is so freaking important, because a lot of them and a lot of us want to wait until a certain point or wait till you start coaching or whatever, and you miss out on just that entire journey. So I had amazing results from 21-day fix. It was wild. And I eventually shared those pictures, and I had 15 people join. And I really thought that was the only number of people I could ever help. I kind of just thought I had that scarcity mindset where it was okay, next month, that's not going to happen. Or the next month, that's not going to happen. And I really had to get out of that mindset, because that was what was going to, mess me up. So I really just decided that I need to go all in. I need to expand my network. I need to do all of the things that my coach told me to do, which is number 1, be coachable, do the things that people are telling you to do. Don't just ignore them. Don't just, think you have a different way. Success leaves clues. So I just as dumb as this sounds, I did all of the things, but I probably 20x them when I first started. I didn't do 5 invites, didn't do 10. I did 50 a day. I was really hungry. And I think that there's I always say this to people, that I think that if you want to grow really fast in this business and really just make a move very quickly, I do think there has to be an element of like hunger, desperation, something that you're trying to like get out of, or something that you're trying to really work towards. Because it's like, if you're comfortable and things are okay, it's a lot harder to like push for something so desperately. You know, your actions aren't maybe going to be going as hard as if you're just, things are okay, but they could be better, you know? So I always really work with my coaches on like that vision of like painting that picture, but not just like, I want to retire and like, I want to travel. That is so, you know, vague. Like, to be really descriptive on the things that you want and the things that, you know, painting a picture. I wanted to literally go home and go to my niece's 6th birthday without telling a single person. Just book a flight on a random Tuesday, you know, for the following birthday, because I wasn't allowed to go the week before, or the year before. So it was like little things like that I literally wrote in my vision board. So that's kind of like my overall, I guess, story. But I have like 10 tips that I wanted to share with you guys that, you know, you've probably heard them before, but hopefully the way that I say them, or something that you guys can take from them. And then we can do like a little Q&A if you guys have specific questions. Because I always feel like I want to make sure I'm not just talking to you. I want you to, you know, get all the answers, and I'm an open book. So at the end we can do that. But first, it's kind of what I just talked about, like defining your goals, right? Defining your vision. I think goals and vision are really, really different. Like, if you have a goal for 5-star, what the hell does that mean? Like, you know, that's great. You should have a goal for rank, but like, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to help you work towards that. Because I'll tell you guys, I didn't even know what anything was in my first 6 months. I was like 17 in the company last year, and I kind of was that in the beginning. And my coach would tell me, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't have any clue about anything. And I think that's what I did right. Like, I didn't overtrain myself. I didn't get so focused on these like numbers and things. I was just like doing what I was supposed to be doing. Literally, I was just doing all the things instead of focusing on that, what the things were going to produce, right? Like, I was just taking the action, and all those things were happening through the actions that I was taking. Like, I swear I had hit elite, and I was like, what is elite? How do you even hit that? Like, what are these, you know, what are these numbers, these points, acquisition? Like, I had no idea. But she was just like, okay, well, I think this is just happening because you're putting in the work and you're doing those things. And I really do believe that if you're doing all the things, you're going to hit the goals. You're going to get to 5-star. You're going to get to all these accolades or whatever rank. But I think the vision is more important to figure out. And then, you know, I just talked about this earlier, like getting results. It is an absolute must. And I think Carly does a really good job at this. I know all of you guys do probably too, but she's the only one I can really see. But I am always making sure that I'm getting results constantly. And so I've heard coaches, like some of my coaches, be like, I don't think I could ever like lose more weight. It's not about like losing more weight. It's about getting results, because life is like this, right? You're going to go through holiday seasons and times, different seasons of your life where you're like all in your fitness and nutrition. And then maybe you're just like living the lifestyle, right? It's just kind of that balance. So when you are going all in, if you are doing the work, or if you're doing MM100, like I made my coaches, like if you're doing MM100, you probably are like close to finishing. I don't know what the schedule is, but like these last 2 weeks better be 150% perfect. Same thing with like the work. I don't know about you guys, but I'm on week 3, and like my 3 weeks hasn't been like 100%. I will admit that. But I know in 3 weeks, I have to get really good results. I have to get amazing results because I've taken people through this process. And if I show up in 3 weeks and there's nothing to show for it, I'm going to be upset with myself, and so is my audience. So I'm going to really make sure that the next 3 weeks are so dialed in 100%, because the results are, you know, you have to show them. It's the business. So I really think that you have to constantly be getting results, constantly be sharing them. Every time there's a new program, you have to be proof of the product works. People will not be able to deny what you are sharing with them if you're sharing the entire process and the end result. So get results for yourself. It's an absolute must. And then lead with your authentic journey. I think that I'm sure a lot of you guys follow a ton of coaches. Something I made my entire team do was stop following every coach. Like give yourself 2 or 3 that you like find inspiration of, that you vibe with, but like stop following coaches, because then you run into this thing where it's literally your whole feed is workouts and superfood shake and energize and dance parties. And you're like, your mind is like fucked, right? Because it's like, you think that that's what the rest of the world is seeing, and it's not. So I looked at my cousin was just here recently, and I was looking at her feed, and it was wild to me. Like, really, it wasn't fitness girls. It wasn't hot girls in their sports bras and selfies. It was like the total opposite. There wasn't a single person on there, like on her explore page, because that's not what she looks up and stuff. So we have to stop like comparing ourselves and trying to kind of be these other coaches and get inspiration. I think that that's happening so much now that it's really like, it's hurting us. It's hurting our business. It's hurting us because we just kind of all are looking the same and acting the same when we are so different. So we need to lead with that. So my number one tip would be to, like, if you want to follow your upline, fine, but like, stop following everyone else, really. And I know, and I had to do that with a lot of my team, like my downline. I don't follow a lot of them, or I mute them, or, you know, that's I guess a nicer way. Mute them all. You know, you don't have to unfollow them if you don't want, but mute them and don't see them, because it also just distracts you in your mindset too, because it kind of makes you feel like you don't want to take more action when you just see everyone doing the same thing. So definitely unfollow people. And so like leading authentically with your journey, that can mean so much. Like, obviously show your workouts, show your food, so show the things that you're doing through the story, but like, who are you as a human? That's what I want to see. That's what I love to see. I know people have told me so much. They like ignore half my stories. And then when my husband's on and we're doing like some funny shit because we just like to joke around, they'll all of a sudden turn the sound down. Like, that's what they like to see also. So if you're just a Beachbody coach, and if you kind of look at your page and you just like scream Beachbody, find a way to add in your passions, your life, your kids, your husband, your boyfriend, your best friend that's like funny, whatever it is. It's so important to find those other things that you love. Like, I try to add in SoulCycle a lot because I do have a big network that, you know, is through SoulCycle, but they don't do the coaching thing. So just things that make you who you are, it's a must to add. And then let's see what else. Hold on, I wrote down. Okay. Big thing for me when I first started, don't rely on your upline for your success. Do not rely on your upline. You guys, my upline pretty much took a step back the week I signed up, and it wasn't her fault, but she was like in the shooting of the Vegas thing. And she took pretty much a year off from that. And I was stuck after a week or 2 weeks. And I was like, what the hell am I doing? What do I do? Where do I put people? I had to learn every single thing myself. She didn't add a single coach underneath me from the minute I started. And I had no help and upline support. So I always try to empower my coaches that, like, I ignore them if they ask me a stupid question that I know they can find on their own. So I think you have to be resourceful for yourself. You have to take action, like ownership of you being a business owner, and not Carly's PS coach or Leanna's PS coach. And her, you know, you don't want to be a coach. You want to be a leader. And I think that you have to step into that as day one. That's not something you step into when you're a diamond coach or when you're a 1-star. That's not something that you step into when you reach the success that you want to reach. You have to step into that day one. I made myself a team page when I hit Emerald. I started showing up on my own team calls, which was just me for the first 2 months. Literally, I would just do it because I wanted to like practice being a leader. So I showed up on team calls like this, and there was 0 people on there. And I would just talk about certain topics because I used to be a teacher. So I know that, like, I mean, how we learn better is teaching other people. So even for me, while I was learning, I wanted to start teaching, even if it was to 0 people. So do these little things to act like a leader, even if you are an Emerald coach or if you have one other coach. Like, just do those things because it's going to make you feel better. It's going to make you feel like you have more confidence. And it's something that I make my coaches do right away. So definitely really, really encourage you guys to do that because it will help with your confidence. Yeah. So like the no hand holding, none of that. Like, I think sometimes the goal is for you to not be a part of Carly's team. I mean, you want to be a part of her team or Leanna's team. You want to be building your own team and flying away with them. And that's like the end goal, right? You want to have your own amazing team and then obviously part of the bigger team. So I think that that's something that you have to start thinking about from day one instead of like, okay, what's she doing? Can she help me do the next thing? So really taking ownership of your business from literally day 0. And then No excuses. Like that's kind of goes hand in hand. No excuses. Literally, I don't care if you work really late. I don't care if you have zero time, if there's kids throwing up, if like there is literally no, there should be zero excuses for why you can't build this business. I built this business in 20 minutes in my car in the pockets of my day. I didn't get home till 10 p.m. I was training clients at 4 a.m. Like I freaking made this work. I look back at my stories now and like my archives and I see that I was working at 1 a.m. Like I would just be like sitting on my computer at 1 a.m. grinding and hustling. And I don't think there's any reason that we can't achieve the goals we want to achieve. And the only reason that we're not going to is because of us and the bullshit excuses that you start like coming up with and like, oh, I'm a mom and she has my coaches say that now, like you do it full time. You have all day. I did not have all day when I first started this. So like, I get it. I hear you. I feel it. If you've got like a full-time job and you're just freaking exhausted and the last thing you want to do is send those invites or do work. And it's so much easier not to do them. But if you're on this call and you are plugged into any part of this business, there's clearly a reason for it. There's clearly something, there's a pull that's you want more, right? So the only person that's going to help you get that is you, like truly. So no excuses. And I think that you got to start throwing those out the window when they start coming up. Like, okay, I've had a long day. I'm just going to go to bed, stuff like that. Consistency every single day. I know Carly does this really well. Like just show up every single day. You can't show up 3 times. You can't just like occasionally post 2 stories or 3 stories. Like be the person that if someone is coming back from a pregnancy or they just are coming back from an injury or something, that you are the first person they think of. First person when they need to get back at it or they need to, lose weight or whatever they're looking to do. Like you should just be the front of people's mind, even if they're not ready now. You show up so consistently every single day for a year, 2 years, 3 years, however long it's going to take. And those people are going to come to you first. So that's why consistency is so important. And I think that's what happens with my coaches. It's like, they think it's like, they go through a horrible season of life and like they take a step back and then they come back and they're ready to dive in. I'm like, you just took literally 35 steps back. And do you know how much harder it is to come back? Like it's super hard. I invite them with open arms, come back and keep going. But it's like, then you're just working, through this uphill battle. So I just think consistency is the number one most important thing in this business. And it's something my coach is trying, my upline is trying to do now, is trying to come back, but it's super, it's not authentic because it's like after a year of taking off, she wants to come back, but I think people have lost all this trust. So I've just really been able to see how true that is. And of course, you're going to have seasons of life where you do not want to show up. Like the last thing you want to do is show up, but you have to. Absolutely have to. And then treat your challenges seriously. This is something after like 8 months into my business, I got really lazy and I really didn't want to do anything with my challenges because I kind of hate them and I still kind of hate them. I love the business aspect part of it, but it's like, if you're not getting people results through those challenges, if you're not helping people and showing up in the biggest, brightest way, why would they tell any of their friends to join you? Why would, there's nothing exciting going on. They're probably not going to get results. They're probably going to walk away and they're not being helped. So you got to get your clients results because those are, hopefully your future coaches. Get them to fall in love with Beachbody and to get them to fall in love with the challenges that they feel like they never want to leave. That's the kind of the environment that we're trying to create. And from leadership, I got a lot out of that this weekend is like, that's what you want. You want to create a group where people it's not like they just want to like, oh, I'm not going to do a challenge this month. I'll come back in, 4 months when I'm ready. Like they just don't want to leave it because they feel so tied to the community. And I think that's really important to, lead by example from the way you run your challenges. Progress over perfection. That's something that I think that I see all my new coaches, or not even new coaches. I feel like all coaches struggle with this. It's like, you just want to be here already. You just want to be like top. And one of my coaches like has been coaching for 1.5 years. She walked away from her 6-figure job and all she wants is 6 figures. And she's so impatient and it's like driving me nuts because she only wants to make 6 figures. And so she's just focused on that. Right. And she just needs that. And I keep telling her like, that's not going to come if you're not showing up authentically and you're not focusing on the progress. Like she's made X amount in, and that's a lot of progress in 2 years or in a year and a half. And like, I think it's really important to focus on that stuff instead of like the big stuff that we all want at the end of the day, probably, or at the end of, so I think it's really important. And the way you show up in social media, your pictures don't have to be perfect. Your captions don't have to be perfect. You shouldn't be spending 5 hours on a caption, or like, that's the stuff that will drive you nuts, and it will start to second guess, you'll start to second guess yourself. But if you can just focus on getting stuff out there, just sharing authentically, and you're going to learn as you go. Like my pictures, were horrible at the beginning, and I shared, so like, I don't know, I just would share quotes before. Like I didn't really know what to share before. And I felt like it was just me putting it out there. And then I learned and I'm still learning every single day. Like Carly's talking on my team call about storytelling, because I think my team really needs that. And it's like, this is just a learning process, and you're never going to get to the point where you've figured it all out. So just don't be afraid to fail, because it's really important to do that. Number 8 is never stop learning in this business, ever. Like plug into team calls, plug into trainings. You guys, like I built my business from national wake up calls, straight up. I've listened to every single one that has ever been put out there. I was going back to 2014. And when I was commuting for 30 minutes, I wasn't listening to music, or I wasn't doing the things that were not going to like help move my business forward. I was plugging in at any second I could that I wasn't like doing invites, like laundry or cooking, or when I was driving or taking walks or whatever. Whenever I could just like plug into some trainings that were going to help me, that's what I was doing. And it was really helping, because again, I didn't have, all the trainings or you guys have a lot of amazing resources, I'm sure. Like you have a freaking solid team, and upline and upline and upline. And it goes so up there that it's like incredible that you have all the resources. But just make sure you're using them, because you have them at your fingertips, and you shouldn't wait for Carly to tell you to direct you to the certain ones. Like go seek them out. If you're struggling with social media, go find a training on social media. If you're struggling with whatever, like go find the trainings that are going to serve what you need. And then mindset. I hate even saying this word, because it's so blah, blah, but it's like what you focus on is what's going to grow. If you're focusing on that no one's saying yes to you, and you can't get any working coaches, that's the only thing I hear from my coaches. I can't find working coaches. Well, if you keep saying that, you're not going to find any working coaches. Like stop saying you can't, because that's just this thing that just plays over in your mind over and over. And why would anyone be attracted to you? Like even that's not even what they might feel, or you might not be saying that on your social media, but there's so much in the energy you put out there, and the energy that goes up in here is what you put out there. So make sure you're not putting out there that you can't get working coaches, or that your business isn't growing, or you're not made for this, or whatever the things that we say to ourselves. So what you focus on grows. So grow your mindset, grow your positive affirmations, all those things, and that's going to be growing your business as well. And then number 10, this is really simple. I literally just say, do your shit. That's it. At the end of the day, just like do the things. It's so simple, and it's so also not simple to do. Like when my coaches tell me this business is hard, I literally am like, no, it's not hard. There's doctors trying to do like heart transplants. This is not hard. It's just probably annoying sometimes. It's tedious. It can be like challenging for you. It's not hard. You know all the things you're supposed to do. It's just sometimes we don't want to do them. And if you are doing them, why don't you 10x them? Why don't you 2x them from what you were doing before? Or why don't you just keep going? It's like you can't fail unless you stop, truly. So if you send 50 invites and you get all no's, and then the next day you feel like shit because you got all no's, and you're not sending any the next day, then you fail. Then you're not going to get any. But if you just keep putting, enough shit against the wall, you're going to be successful. There are going to be people that are attracted to you and follow you and want what you have to offer, because what we have to offer is literally the greatest thing in the entire world. Truly. 100% believe that. So just make sure that you are putting that out there for people to see and believe in, because it's going to take people time. You guys, I said no to this for a full year. Watched my coach for a full year before I even processed what she was saying. I didn't even give a shit what she was saying for the first year, even though I heard it. So you also have to realize that the people watching you, the people listening to you every single day, they might be watching, but they don't really hear you. Until they're ready to hear you, then they'll hear you. So just keep putting it out there over and over again until they're ready to take what you have. And if you're consistent enough, they will be. So that's kind of all I have. And if you guys want like specific questions on things that I talked about or anything different or how I do things, happy to answer anything. And also, I'm going to be really honest, you guys, I'm just exhausted. And also, like, my mom called me 2 minutes ago. My grandma passed away. So I am like just feeling all the crazy emotions. And like, I just also had to lead by example and was like, I'm going to show up either way. So I just hope that at least shows you guys that like this isn't always fun to do and to show up in ways that you might not want to, but you have to if you want to lead from the front and you want to grow your business. And thank you all for, I didn't even know whether I should share that, but you know, it's just like what's really happening, and it's all good. So yeah. So if any of you guys have questions, feel free to ask me.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. That was so
helpful.
amazing. And yeah, we're all sending you all the love.
Thank you. Thank you. It's okay. You know, it's just, it's life, but it also just makes you, I don't know, start to think and like, you're like, how do I want to leave a legacy? What do I want to do with my life? Like, how do I want to live? And I mean, I am really happy that I am finally living out my dream, but it's just like, that's what we should all be doing. And that's what we should all be striving for every day. So.
I think Noah has a question.
How do you 50X without being generic and being different from a DM you used to ignore? Without being generic and being different from a DM you used to ignore. I don't know. Maybe you can like ask that, like, what do you mean by that? Be different from a DM you used to ignore. You mean the same, like without sending the same DM to one person?
I think like what you were saying in the beginning about how people would message you a ton and like invite you and you were like, ew, that's gross.
Yeah. Like I didn't know them, you know, like I had no idea who they were. I wasn't following these people. I wasn't looking at their stories. So like, why would you message me? And I'm also just like not the type of person that would like message someone and be like, oh my God, I love your shoes. Like that's like weird to me personally. That doesn't feel good to me. So I know if someone messages me that right away, I'm like, what do you want from me? Like, what's going on? So I'm a little bit more direct with my messages, but only to the people that are following me and to the people that are watching me. I do not send any cold messages, but the people that are following and watching me, I'm pretty direct in my approach just because that's who I am. And like, I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, hey girl, do you wanna, whatever. I'm not the hey girl kind of person. I'm just very much like, if you're watching me, I'm gonna straight up ask you if you've ever thought about joining me or whatever. So I'm a pretty direct person, and that's just like my vibe. So, and people have different approaches too. So I know that doesn't work for a lot of people. So if that's not like the type of person you are, don't try to be that person, because then it's not right. Like if you need to build, like a lot of my coaches build relationships for like 4 months, chit chatting and doing that whole kind of thing before. And that's what worked for them. For me, I just felt like people smell what I'm doing, because it's like, I'm so out there that like, it just doesn't feel real for me. So I hope that answers that. What?
I think there's a few more in the chat if you want to read.
How did you transition from the fitness realm as an instructor to fitness? Okay, so I still teach at SoulCycle. I teach like 2 classes a week. That was something I was really, really nervous about at the beginning, and because I was doing personal training and all these things, and I was like, I don't want it to ruin, my brand that I had already built or whatever I had thought I had done. So it was kind of scary for me to take this transition. I think that's why a lot of fitness instructors don't go all in, because they are scared of like, but I think that what I realized was if you're halfway in and halfway out, or 1 foot in and 1 foot out, it's like, then you're just like confusing everyone. And it's really, that seems icky to me. And that seems like you're not confident and comfortable with what you're sharing and selling. So I felt like that's what I was doing at the beginning. I was kind of like, I have these challenges, but like all I was talking about was my client, or my real clients and my SoulCycle and all that. And I was like, sometimes like sharing about the business and all that. So I felt like I was like, I needed to, once I made the move to start coaching or whatever, I went all in, as in like, I just decided, I knew I didn't want to teach 25 classes a week. So I kind of knew that I was like, I have to give this my all. I have to kind of make that transition from posting only SoulCycle, only this, that, fitness stuff, and really start integrating that into my new brand that I was going to try to create. But I still, fitness is very much, if you look at my feed, that's still very much me. I wouldn't like tell you to do that if that's not who you are, but fitness is like who I've always been. So that's why you'll see a lot of fitness stuff in there. But I feel like that's just how I've transitioned. I've just been able to see the benefit of both. Like I helped when I was doing a lot of classes, I was sharing about it in class, and I would have a couple clients, join Beachbody in class or from class. And they like were more incentivized to come to class because they wanted to like see me and talk to me in person and like tell me how much they were crushing it. And like, so I feel like it helped almost with having both. And people were like excited to come to my class because they felt like I was like their personal coach, except for just like their online coach. So I really feel like it only helped me. It didn't hurt me, but it definitely like did hurt my personal training clients because, they're not going to come see me. Like they weren't coming to see me for $150 3 times a week anymore when they were doing Beachbody. So it definitely was a transition that I had to be okay with because I saw the vision of what I wanted. And I wasn't going to be personal training when I had kids and like down the road, and just the lack of freedom that there was attached to that. So that's kind of how I transitioned. But I would say for anyone that is an instructor, like you have to just go all in because it's really weird if you're just dabbling. People smell that. And so people are like unsure what you're up to. And I feel like that's what you're giving off to people.
I feel like they don't know what to go to or like which to choose. I was a yoga teacher, and like I would have people like, wait, so do you do yoga coaching? And I'm like, no. So that was like a sign, like you have to be more clear and like emphasize what's going to actually change your life, which is the business.
Exactly. Like I just knew that. And I was like, I have to kind of give up this thing and SoulCycle is still a part of my brand, and that is still a part of my story and everything that I use now. But I definitely am like mainly, doing mostly Beachbody. Tips on how you spice up your challenge groups. I feel like mine have been losing life. Girl, same. I honestly like it's something that every day I'm like trying to figure out because I feel that. And I just think it's like, I've gone back and forth with like doing ongoing ones and doing ones monthly and giving them new life. And that always feels good. But it's a constant work in progress. So I don't have any like tips except for just play around constantly until you find what works. I'm 2 years in still finding what works. So I don't think and I tried it on Facebook. That didn't work for me. I hated it. So what works for some people, like my coaches love that, but my clients really didn't, and I didn't. So I really feel like it's so different for everybody how you do it. How did you, let's see. Challenge groups tips. How did you go about bringing up Beachbody coaching fitness groups with your SoulCycle community? So like, it's so simple. It's like, literally I would just say like, if anyone needs, in my classes, which I wasn't even supposed to do, I was just like secretly like doing it. I was just like, if anyone, I do online coaching I do online fitness coaching as well. If anyone's looking for support outside of the studio with nutrition and maybe some workouts that you can do when you're not at class, let's like come message me or follow me on Instagram, and just so they could just at least message me there. So it was super simple. I wasn't like, guys, I'm running a 21-day challenge if anyone wants to join me. It was more of just like, hey, if anyone's interested in more support outside of the classroom. That was kind of it. And then like, of course, in the hallways, I'd bring it up. Like we would just be chit-chatting. That's what you're supposed to do after class. And then I would just bring it up and just share what I was doing. People already saw, through social media. So they'd probably just ask, a lot of them. You have to do what's best for you. I second Karen. Tips to spice up the challenge.
Julie has a question.
Yeah, sorry. They're kind of, okay. So I was teaching at this yoga studio back in September. Got in trouble for asking my class attendees in my wellness group if I ever run into this problem. I did. Like I made a mistake. For me personally, I was talking about income and I was kind of comparing it one time, and I made a big mistake and got in a lot of trouble with SoulCycle. So I did get in trouble for that, but they told me that I couldn't be like promoting both. But so I stopped, I stopped doing it in the studio and just have these people follow you on social media. Then they get to see what you're doing. So you don't have to be as direct as like, who wants to join me, or I'm doing wellness coaching, like none of that, but get all your clients to follow you on social media, or those people. Cause then if you're talking about it enough, then they're going to start asking questions there. How do you approach the business to personal trainers? Do they start out as a challenge group to see if Personal trainers are really tough, you guys. Like, I'll be honest, my team is not full of personal trainers. I wish it was. I had like probably 10 SoulCycle instructors sign up. None of them did it, and tons of trainers sign up. None of them did it. Like, it's hard for people to see the vision. It really is. And especially if someone's happy in their job as a personal trainer, some of them aren't thinking so far into 5 years from now. So it really is difficult. And I've still found it really difficult. But what I do, at least now, is I am just like, I'm getting on a voice note and I'm really honest with them. And I'm like, yo, like, I know you're a personal trainer too. And I work at SoulCycle. I've been doing this for like 4 years, and I started doing online coaching. I saw you're looking at, I saw you followed me, and I just wanted to see if like you do any online coaching, or if you ever thought about it, something like that. Sometimes they ghost me, but sometimes they're like, oh, I've been invited to this before, but like not interested. So I just feel like with those people, they're just all about building relationships, and they just have to trust you more and more, because you have to realize that, especially personal trainers, like they've probably been invited by 100 million people, and it's really creepy. Like, it just starts to get like the same people are just sending messages. So in order to not be creepy, just those people, like, you got to massage the relationship a little bit more and build a connection a little bit more for people that are probably expected. And if you're not a personal trainer, do not go to reach out to them. Like, there's nothing there. There's no connection. There's nothing there. So don't reach out to them. That's one thing. Like, I had all these people reaching out to me, and I was like, what are you even talking about? You don't even do fitness. Like, so I didn't feel any connection to people like that. Let's see. I think that was it. Did I miss any?
That's everything. Thank you so much.
I hope that was helpful, you guys. I'm sorry that I don't know. I was just rambling.
Oh,
but
you were amazing. Like, I didn't even have any clue. I'm sure nobody else knew that like you had anything happen. So, okay. And you're like so tired probably from the weekend.
It was the best. You guys, like, you have to get to these things. Like, you just work your ass off to get there, because it is so special. And it's like, you don't even know what this world is until you get to see it for yourself. Super Saturday's coming up. It's something that I'm telling my team they have to freaking go to. Like, go. I went alone my first 3 times. Like, just go meet the community, go do a live workout. It's like a mini summit, all the things we get to do. But just get yourself to these live events, because there's nothing like it. And it's so huge. So even if you're a brand new coach, like, just get yourself to these events, because they're amazing. And, get yourself to freaking 5-star next year so you can come on this leadership trip, because it was probably the best weekend of my life. So get yourself there.
All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you
guys. I hope that was helpful. And if you have any other questions, you can, message me or let me know. And I hope to see you guys all soon.
At leadership next year.
At leadership next year.
Okay,
all right, guys.
Bye.